Okay, recording is start. So yesterday we just started with cloud computing. What exactly cloud computing means? Basically, we are creating the resources or whatever the required entities or resources which are needed for the organization or for our computer work. So everything that has to be created over the internet. So which is hosted by some other vendors. When I say vendors, it can be Amazon, it can be Google Cloud or GCP or Azure, right? So we'll make use of the vendor. They have invested a lot of hardware, and they are just renting out their resources as per our requirements. So this is something called as cloud computing. So being sitting in our place with the help of the internet, with the help of our computer, we'll be creating multiple resources as per our needs. So that is nothing but a cloud computing. And yesterday also we discussed about the different types of cloud computing. So we discussed about deployment models. So deployment model in a sense where exactly we are hosting our resources. So we talked about public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. So public cloud in a sense, the devices or the resources which we are hosting, so that can be accessed globally. So there are no much restrictions on the devices or on the resources which we are hosting on the public cloud. When I talk about private cloud, yes, uh, we can customize our resources access based on our needs. So if at all, if if some resources belongs to some company, some organization, so I can only restrict to the employees which belongs to those organizations itself. So it all depends. Yesterday we also discussed about a one real time scenario how exactly we can host devices in hybrid cloud, which means hybrid cloud in essence, which combines the capabilities of public cloud and private cloud, which means certain devices we can host it in public cloud and certain devices can be hosted in the private cloud, and both can be communicated with some intermediate components. So we'll be discussing them about we'll be using NAT gateways or internet gateways. We'll be using a couple of them. So with the help of them, we'll be able to communicate with public cloud and private cloud. So this is an example of hybrid cloud. And when we come to service model, we have IaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So infrastructure as a service, so everything will be constructed or implemented by us being the solution architect with the help of any of the cloud vendors. So as we are focusing on AWS, so we'll make use of the services of AWS and we'll create the resources or we'll create the infrastructure, we'll create the environment as per our needs. So and when it comes to platform as a service, infra see within AWS itself, infrastructure will be maintained by AWS. So we don't need to create or implement anything. We just have to say I'm planning to host a Python application. So we'll have to select some options. So based on that, we'll be able, AWS will be able to provide such a infrastructure to us so that we'll just have to upload our application and as soon as we upload our application, everything will be taken care by AWS. So this is something called as platform as a service. Elastic Beanstalk is a very good example. We'll be discussing about Elastic Beanstalk probably in later sessions. And software as a service, so it's a day-to-day software which we are using. It can be used in desktop or mobile applications, and we just have to install those software and that can run for some time. Some of the software comes with licensing and some of the software are freely available. So this is about software as service. And I'll be sharing these, PPT today, so we can go through them. So, and some of the features, yeah, it is economical and pay as we go, and definitely we have high security, and yeah, we can go through these, features of AWS or cloud computing. And coming to let's today's agenda, let's completely focus on Amazon Web Services. Okay. So during the year 2006, Amazon started their business, and they have come up with one solution that okay, most of the people are trying to get some computers, and definitely that will be the bigger investment for each and every individual. So they have come up with one solution that why can't we implement everything within our premises and we'll just give access to the users. So we'll give some options to users to select their requirement. For example, if I need two virtual CPUs or if I need to have 16 GB RAM or 1 TB of hard disk, so everything will be will be maintained by us. So we'll just rent it for we'll just rent it these devices so that each uh, end user can use our services based on their requirements. So this is one of the main reason Amazon started a subsidiary as Amazon Web Services. So which means so everything will be maintained by Amazon. So which means they have a data center, they have availability zones. We'll discuss about that what exactly data centers and availability zones in little later today. But during 2006, they have started these implementation of Amazon Web Services. So as most of us know, web services is with the help of some protocol, we'll be able to access those services with the help of the internet, right? So as part of the Amazon Web Services implementation, the infrastructure implementation, they have invested huge data centers across globe. We'll talk about what exactly data centers and availability zone. And as of now, we have 25 geographical regions, right? We'll see what exactly regions and availability zone. See, it is very simple. Let's say if I have to have a computer, yesterday we just discussed, so we need to have couple of devices. For example, we need to have a hard disk and RAM and some network devices or any CD-ROM or whatever, right? So whatever the necessary software, sorry, necessary hardware are needed. So everything we are maintaining. So if you can open your computer, definitely you could see all this info on your computer. So similarly, what they have done, instead of purchasing a separate computer, let me open a data center. What exactly a data center? So a data center in the sense it's a collection of resources, collection of devices in a huge capacity. For example, we have hard disk here. Please understand and let me know if you have any questions. For example, this is a hard disk department. In the sense, there is a data center. Within the data center, we have a building. So within that building, we are entitled to use this host these hard disk devices. For example, let's say I have around 100 TB of hard disks are stored in one of the data centers. Next, let's consider let's RAM department. I'm just giving an example, uh, and let's say we have around 2000 GB of RAM now, and also we have another data center. Okay, and probably here we might be having a number of vCPUs and some. Yeah, this will take care of vCPUs, and probably let's say I have 1000 vCPUs. I will talk about what exactly vCPUs and everything later. And let's say we have some other network devices. So let's say I have around 100 network devices. I'm just giving an example. So I'm not really getting into the network devices like a NAT gateway or internet gateway or ports to be enabled or firewall thing. So the consolidately I've just mentioned as network device. Now, my requirement is to create a computer with. Okay, so now I want to have a computer with minimal requirement as per my requirement. For example, if I want to have 100 GB of hard disk and I need to have two vCPUs and if I had to have 20 GB of RAM and some other network devices. For example, let's say two network devices. I needed. For example, now what exactly I need to do? So this is what my requirement, right? And being sitting in my computer, I want to create a system virtually. Virtually in a sense, I don't have to create. I don't have to purchase any hardware by myself. Instead, I'll just send out a request. There is something called as hypervisor, and we'll make use of internet here. So what I'll do with the help of the internet, with the help of the internet, I'll just pass on this info as a web service call. For us, it is just a GUI option, graphical interface option, but in the backend, all the requests will go as a web service call. Forget about web service calls now. Just concentrate on these are the requests which I'm planning to send it across internet. And there is a hypervisor which sits on the Amazon premises, right? So for example, I'll call this as a region. And this is, I can call this as AC1, and this I can call this as AC2. Of course, there should be minimum three availability zones for a particular reason. Just for an example, I've just mentioned two. We'll talk about all these things in detail today. Now, all these requests are passed on to Amazon premises with the help of the internet. There is something called as a hypervisor which sits on Amazon premises and which will receive this info and virtually which will help us to create a machine as per our need. For example, how exactly it does, I need 100 GB of RAM. So, which means, yeah, sorry, 100 GB of hard disk. So here we have 100 TB of hard disk are available. What exactly it does? Okay, there is a portion, I can get some portion of hard disk from here, so which will satisfy my requirement. For example, this should be my 100 GB of hard disk. So this portion of hard disk will be allocated to this particular request on a shared basis. You see my point? And later, if I have to have two virtual CPUs, so for example, so this will suffice me to vCPUs. So this portion or these two portions will be allocated to this particular request. Similarly, if I need to have 20 GB of RAM, then exactly what exactly it does. So just try to allocate, just check, okay. So this much of space should be allocated to suffice 20 GB of RAM. So similarly, the corresponding network devices or some other devices can be allocated. So which means all these uh, devices, uh, what should we call? So the requirements can be shared across all the devices, which means it can be some availability zone one, availability zone two, so which can be spread across a region. Now, what exactly availability zone? See, the availability zone instance, it's a collection of data center. It's a cluster of data center called availability zone. And the collection of availability zones are called as a region. For example, uh, if you see a region in Mumbai, so there is a Mumbai region we used to select. We'll be, I'll be showing you that example when I create an instance. So, for example, if I take a Mumbai region, which means there are some huge hardware into Mumbai region, right? And when I say region, it's a collection of AZs. When I say collection of AZs, again, it's a collection of a cluster of data centers. What exactly a data center? This can be a data center. One, right? So whatever the info which I need or whatever the specifications which I need, so my hypervisor will sit on top of these Amazon premises and which we get those info So if I need 100 GB of hard disk and 20 GB of RAM and 2 vCPUs, so accordingly it fetch all those details and it sits on top of the hypervisor and it just created instance. So that is called as EC2 instance. Okay, do you see my point? Okay. Any questions here? Yeah, we'll take your questions later, but yeah, these things, day-to-day life, till the end of our career, we'll be using this uh, availability zones and regions, right? So basically, region in the sense it's specific to a country. For example, if in India, there we as of now we have Mumbai region. Within Mumbai region, we'll have multiple availability zones. For example, it can be posted in Pune, it can be very near to uh, Mumbai and New Mumbai. So there can be multiple data centers which are spread across a region. So which means that there will be multiple number of buildings which are dedicated to host or hardware within Mumbai. This is about availability zones and regions. Let's look at here. See, we have multiple, as I mentioned, we have 25 geographical region and more than 74 availability zones we have. Let's look at here. For example, this is a North America region. So this is a North America, and see the yellow one is there is a uh, region which is yet to come in Canada, and these are the regions which are already present here. Okay, and let's come to Asia Pacific, and probably you can see there is a region, and please look at here. We have three availability zones. So the minimum requirement to set up a region is we should have minimum three availability zones. So what exactly availability zone? Availability zone is a cluster of data centers. What exactly a data center? Data center is nothing but a building. It's a huge building where our hardwares are hosted for our use. Right? So and there is one there is one region which is yet to come in Hyderabad. It has started around 3 years before itself, but still they are setting up. Probably, hopefully, it may take a few months so that we may also see another region in India. So similarly, you can see in Europe, you can see multiple regions, and in Switzerland, they are yet to set up another region. So basically, why do we need a region and why do we need a availability zones or why do we need a data center? So let's say I want to create a computer with these specifications. So I should get hardware dedicated to my requirement. How I should get my hardware dedicated to my requirement? So there is a region, there is availability zones, and there are some data centers which are hosted or which they have a lot of hardware which are dedicated to end user. So whatever the requested, whatever the requirement which we pass on to Amazon with the help of the internet. So what exactly it does? So it just gets some sort of hardware based on user specifications and just allocate it and just create a computer and given back to user. And later point of time, if user if he doesn't want to continue using this particular computer, so you can always have an option to terminate. If we terminate, then these whatever the allocated hardware across the data center all will be released so that it can be allocated to some other user. So this is how cloud computing works. This is all about availability zone and AZ. And we'll talk about all these things later. Okay. And we have AWS subscription. So today we will be creating an account in AWS so that all of us we can use this account to create multiple resources with the help of AWS. So when I say AWS subscription, So we have three types of subscription. So one is a 12-month free, which means what if you open an AWS account, which will be within that account, you will be able to make use of certain resources for 12 months for free. And later, definitely there will be charge based on your needs. And there are some services which are always free, which means there are we will discuss about which and all are free and all. Irrespective of subscription, there are some services which are always free, and there are some services which are trial version. For example, uh, this can be usable for 1 month or 2 months, and later we are supposed to pay for the amount of duration which we use for those services. So this is about the AWS subscription. So let's see what exactly.
Naveen, I think somebody has asked one question in he has posted some question in group chat.
पातळ होणारे आणि
The can multiple regions share a data center? Example, region one is having storage of state. No, a particular region. Let's say if you are creating some resources in Mumbai region, we are supposed to all the hardware should get allocated within that region, which are dedicated. I mean, which are dedicatedly we have a number of availability zones or data centers. So the resources which we are creating are region specific. I mean, is that answers your question?
Yes, ma'am. So that means that multiple regions cannot share the resources, right? Like, for example,
See, re- if you are creating some resources, you're supposed to you're supposed to select a region. We'll discuss that. Anyhow, we have some demo, so we'll be creating some some resources and by selecting some regions and all. So probably you will get better clarity there.
okay, sure, thank you.
So these resources are region specific. Yeah. Here we have some free trial and 12 months free and always free. Let's look into what exactly 12 months free. See, please understand. See, most of our students, they'll create an instance and they may forget to stop or terminate the instance. So definitely they'll incur with lot of charges at the end of the month, right? We'll see. See, this when I say EC2 instance, EC2 in the sense Elastic Compute Cloud, which means it's a machine. It can be a Linux machine or it can be a Windows machine or it can be any other Linux flavor machine. So what exactly it is saying? So 750 hours per month Linux RHL. So these are the types or these are the next flavors they have mentioned. So similarly, 750 hours for Windows T2.micro. We'll discuss about what exactly T2.micro and all. So you can consider that a Linux machine. You can create a Linux machine with these types with by selecting these types, and you can use them up to 750 hours per month. Okay, 750 hours per month. So you can use seven Windows machine with this configuration for 750 hours in a month. Similarly, 750 hours for Linux machines with this specification. We'll talk about this, what is T2.micro and everything. Similarly, we have AWS Lambda. We'll be seeing this, what exactly AWS Lambda. So this is always free. Right? That's what we mentioned, right? There are some, uh, as discussed here. So There are some subscriptions which are 12 months free. There are some always free, and there are some free trials. So AWS Lambda is a service which is always free, and you can take some example of free trials. Free trials, yeah. There is Amazon Light Sale. This is 3 months free, which we can use, and later we are supposed to uh, make some payments in order to use them. So, and let's look at 12 months free. Yeah, even we use load balancers. Even load balancers also, we can use it for 750 hours. Let's, I mean, see, just let me give you a quick suggestion. Whatever the resources for practice purpose which you will be creating, please work accordingly and delete them or terminate them immediately, if at all, if we don't need it. Worst case, for EC2 instances, you can stop the instances without terminating, but it's always good practice to terminate for free tier subscription. So that we'll not end up with getting some huge amount at the end of the month for our usage. And also, these are the services which we are going to learn as part of this course. So we'll be learning EC2, S3, IAM, load balancers. Yeah, I'll be sharing these details for each and everything. We'll be having a demo, and we'll learn why and how exactly these are all useful in our day-to-day life in our IT career. And coming to the certification part, so there is, you might be seeing some cloud practitioner course. This is for to get the basic knowledge, but this is not compulsory or this is not mandatory to go ahead with any of these courses. So it is, if you really want to have, definitely you can book a slot, and you can, once you complete this course, definitely you'll be able to create these two certifications from the AWS point of view. And once we done with AWS Solution Architect Associate, then probably you can get into professional certifications. So what makes the differences between all these certifications? It all depends on the service. So in AWS Solution Architect Associate, most of the services which we have covered. So if you are going with professional, addition to this, few more services are getting added. That's how uh, the differences across AWS certifications. So you can look into it, and if somebody is interested in AWS certified DevOps engineer, so once he completes solution architect, you can get into it, or you can also opt for AWS certified developer, so you can also get into it, or system developer also, you can go ahead and learn or clear the certification of AWS certified DevOps engineer. And coming to the market, today I've just got the latest update. Still, as of January 2022, still Amazon sits on top compared to all other vendors. Okay, so with this, we'll quickly get started with some practicals, and we'll understand again, what exactly AZs and what exactly regions. We'll see that. So before that, let's most of you might be having some account, but if somebody have not created any AWS account, so this is a quick guide to help to create your AWS account. So basically, you need to have some credit card or debit card. So RuPay cards, AWS is not accepting as such, but your Mastercard and Visa cards, even if it is debit card or it's a credit card, you'll be able to create your account. So this is the portal, and as soon as you click on this link, you'll be able to see this sign up for AWS. Probably you can give your email ID and password specific to your AWS account. You can proceed further, and you need to follow these naming conventions. It should have minimum 8 characters, and you should follow some uppercase and lowercase and all. And once that is done, you will be asked to select the type of account. So whether are you interested to go with business or personal? So most of your organization will go with business plan, because definitely they'll have some good deals and discounts for their businesses. But as we are learning this, so I request all of you to select personal for your own project, right? So, and you fill some details, and later it will ask you to give some billing information. Why do they need these info? Because AWS will be charging on monthly basis. So once you've registered your credit card or debit card, this information will be saved within the AWS, and they will once based on your usage at the end of the month they will be sending you the billing report, and you can just make it. Let's say if you have if the billing is coming up around $50 in a month, you can just make use of these already saved info and you can pay the bill. And once you register your card details, and you will be asked for to enter OTP, and once that is done, you need to enter your OTP here, and also there is some verification code will be sent. This is for multiple authentications, and once you fill all those details, please select basic support free. Right? So what exactly basic support? You don't need to pay anything. Instead, you can make use of the services, whatever AWS is offered as a free tier account. And once that is done, your account is created. And here you can select your role. It can be a developer, it can be engineer. You can select your role, and you can select you are interested in. And there will be some drop downs which are coming up. You can give your details over there. So please, I request all of you to follow this. I'll be sharing these, PPT. Please follow this link, and I request all of you to have your AWS account by tomorrow's class, so that it will be easier for you to practice some practical, right? So I'll be sharing this after this session. And how exactly this looks. So this is what the AWS console. As soon as you create an account, it takes minimum 20 to 25 minutes, or let's consider as a 30 minutes, right? So please wait for 30 minutes to customize all your pages for your account, right? So this is the console, and let's say if you have whatever you need to search, let's say you want to have some load balancer, for example, right? So please search here load balancer. See, there is a pop-up, and you can see the load balancer sections, and you click on that and you can create a load balancer. So similarly, if you want to create some instance, we call that as EC2 instance, right? So okay, if you really want to use a load balancer, click on the load balancer and you proceed further with the further implementation. For example, if I need to create a Windows machine, I need to select a service called EC2. Upon click on EC2, you'll be able to create some of the resources. You'll see them how exactly you need to create a EC2 resource. Okay. So let's come back to EC2. Okay. See, EC2 stands for it's an elastic compute cloud. What exactly elasticity? So the name itself indicates that elasticity in the sense we can increase or we can decrease the capacity of the resources. For example, let's say for now I have created a computer with 100 GB of hard disk, and later I may need to add another disk of another 50 GB. So this is possible. So that is the reason it is called as elastic. Or later, in the initial stage, I might be opted for 20 GB of RAM, and later I may extend this RAM capacity from 20 GB to 32 GB or 40 GB as well. So that is the reason it is called as elastic. And compute. What exactly compute? We are just computing, or we are creating the resources in a cloud. So that's the reason it is called as elastic compute cloud. So what exactly we do here? With the help of internet, we will be computing our resources, or we'll be computing our servers based on our needs. And as soon as we create a computer, definitely we need to have our operating system, correct? So without operating system, there are no chance to work with a computer, right? So as soon as we give the specification to create a computer. In the meantime, we are supposed to select which flavor of operating system you need, whether you need Windows or whether you need Linux flavor. So each and everything you'll be able to select. Let's quickly follow this thing and we'll try to create one EC2 instance. We'll try to create Windows one and also we'll try to create Linux one, and we'll see how exactly what makes the differences between Windows and Linux when it comes to steps, right? So let's quickly create a Windows machine. So as I mentioned, if at all, if I have to create any machine, it has to be in a region, correct? What exactly a region? It's a geographical place where multiple availability zones are hosted. What exactly availability zone? Each availability zone is a collection of, or it's a cluster of data center. What exactly a data center? Data center is a building or it's where which contains a huge amount of hardware within the Amazon premises. Okay, let's quickly now follow these steps and we'll just create some servers. So basically, if I have to create EC2, I should mention EC2 here. And once I click on the EC2, I'll be able to see this screen. So this is the initial screen of EC2 service, right? Okay, and here you can see the resources details. So EC2 refers, we can create, we'll discuss what is EBS volume and everything, and also networks and everything. We'll discuss little later. So as of now, I'm concerned about I want to have a Windows machine. So here you can see some options. See here if some of the instances which are running, which are already created in this account, right? So here you'll be able to see the list of devices which are running. Or if you want to have a list of devices which are stopped or which are running, you can just close that and you will be able to see the number of devices which are running or which are in stop state. And how to create a machine, how to create a Windows machine. So just click on the launch instances. And once you click on the launch instance, we are supposed to give a name to our server. See, guys, we are creating a computer. So we are supposed to entitle with one name. For example, Windows. What is it today? Okay. So I'm just giving a name to the server called Windows 11. Now, what do we need here? So we need to have a computer or a server. What exactly we need here? So first of all, we need to give a name, of course, and later we need to select the operating system. See, in Amazon world, it is called as AMI, Amazon Machine Image, but in the later it is called as operating system. So which we are supposed to install. So what I'm trying to do is here. So I'm creating a computer. As soon as I create a computer, please install the necessary operating system on top of the hardware which are selected. So here I may select Windows or I may select Ubuntu, whatever. So always there is something called as AMI, Amazon Machine Image. We have a detailed discussion about Amazon Machine Image little later in the course. So this step, the first step is we'll have to give a name to your machine, and later we are supposed to select our operating system. Which operating system I need? As I'm entitled to create Windows 1, so just browse more AMIs, click on this button and search for Windows. Okay. And I request all of you to select only free tier 1. See, you can see multiple machines configurations, but this if you select other than free tier eligible, definitely charges will get incurred. So always I request all of you to select free tier eligible. So now I'm selecting Windows Server 2022 as an operating system. Okay. Now Now this is done. So as soon as I select this, see here you can see this is the specifications which I've selected. Now operating system is done. Now I need to select the instance type. What exactly instance type refers? So see, as I mentioned, so we need to have hard disk, number of vCPUs, RAM, all those things, right? So now, what exactly instance type does? It will help me to select number of CPUs. We'll discuss what exactly vCPUs and also we need to select the RAM details by selecting the instance type. As we are using free tier account, we are supposed to use T2.micro only because this is free tier eligible. But for your office work, for your organization requirement, if you want to have higher configuration, so definitely you can go with multiple. You can choose multiple options as well. For example, your requirement is to you have to have two virtual CPUs with 8 GB of RAM. We'll also talk about what is the GB versus what is GIB. Let's focus on just creation of instance. Later we'll see these details. Okay, so if I need four virtual CPUs and 16 GB of RAM, then I can select these. So for as of now, I don't want to have a higher configuration machine, so I just need. So that's the reason I've just selected T2.micro, and here it is clearly mentioned that it is freely available, freely eligible, free tier eligible. Now this is done, and later I need to have some authentication. Right, so it is not that simply we create a EC2 instance that can be used by everyone. No, it is not possible. So for that we are trying to have a authentication, which means we have something called as key. We have public key and private key. Public key will be maintained in Amazon premises and private key will be stored in our local computer. So when we generate these keys and when we upload this private key, immediately this private key will be matched with the public key which are present in the Amazon premises. So which means as soon as we create a key, public key and private key will be stored, will be generated, and public key and private key will be stored in AWS premises, and private key will be downloadable as an end user. And as soon as we launch our instance with the help of the private key, this key will be getting authenticated from the Amazon, so that only authorized user or only the necessary people who have this key, only those users should be able to launch these instances. We'll see what exactly key pair. I have already some keys in my workspace, but for now we'll create a new key pair. Please understand, I'm creating a resource in Mumbai region. These keys also region specific. So if I create a instances in Mumbai region, then the corresponding keys should be should also usable within this region only. For example, let me create a key in Mumbai region. Okay. Now there are two types of key formats which you can see. There is PEM and there is something called as PPK. We will see what is PEM and PPK a little later. So I'm just giving Windows key. Okay, and I'm creating the key and I've selected a PEM. Now this is the folder which I've created. This is the PEM which I've created, which I could see in the this thing, and where just I'll just paste it here. So this is the key which is used to launch your application or launch a Windows machine. So which has generated from the console itself. Now see what I have done. I have given the name and I've selected the which operating system I need to work with, and later I've selected the instance type. Instance type refers to how many number of vCPUs and how many number of RAM you need, and somehow we need to allocate some hard disk space also, right? So just come down, you can see hard disk. See, here we are computing hard disk. What exactly it is saying? Free tier eligible customers can get up to 30 GB of EBS. We'll see what exactly EBS, what is general purpose SSD and all little later. So as an individual, as a user, I can use up to 30 GB of hard disk. And definitely we can always increase or we can decrease as per our business needs. But as it's a free tier one, so let us not alter anything. Let us go with 30 GB of hard disk space. Okay. And later, network settings. This is also needed, right? That's what we discussed. There are some network settings, all these things and all, right? So what exactly network settings we do here? We have something called as security group. Security groups which will help me to launch our application or which will help me to communicate with my instance. For example, let's say this is my computer and I can restrict. That's how the authentication. That's how the security means. For example, let's say this user wants to access this computer. For example, this computer is having IP address dot hash 10.20.30.40. This is the IP address which is allocated to this machine. Now, if I can make this instance globally, even Praveen from Canada, he can access this machine, or Praveen from US, even Praveen can also access, or myself or Ramesh from India, he can also access this machine with the help of this IP. Now, I don't want to make my instance which are globally available. Instead, I can only restrict to use by Praveen. So definitely Praveen will be having some IP address is machine, for example 90.30.45.6. So what I'll do, I'll just mention while creating this machine, I will say only this particular IP address he'll be able to access this machine. So this is something called as security groups. So here, I mean, kind of inbound groups and outbound groups. We'll discuss them in detail probably later in the session. So as of now, I'm allowing RDP traffic from anywhere, which means even anyone can access this machine. So why do we need RDP? See, this is a Windows machine, so we are supposed to launch this application with the help of remote desktop connections only, right? So that's the reason there is a protocol which RDP is a protocol we use to communicate with our Windows instance. So that is the reason we are making it anywhere. As I mentioned, if Praveen wants to access this machine alone, we can always customize. But for now, I'm just keeping as default. And this is about network settings, and advanced settings we'll see little later. And once that is done, just click on launch instance. See, it is very easy. By selecting some options, now we are able to create my instance. Right? So just click on the instance, you'll be able to see the instance details in some time. Yeah. See, this is the name which I have given, and AP South 1B. Please understand. See, Mumbai is a region, and we have three availability zones: AP South 1A, 1B, and 1C. And similarly, this particular resource, this particular machine got created in this availability zone. So this availability zone, AP South 1A, sorry, 1B availability zone will have multiple data centers within it. So with these RAM or hard disk or whatever the specification which I have defined, everything should be captured within this availability zone. So which means which are spread across multiple data centers. Okay, and here also you can see some Windows key details. It just needs minimum 2 to 3 minutes for Windows machine to up and running. So as and when you launch your instance, you're supposed to check the status check. So it should be no status. There are two types of checks, right? One is a system check. So basically, the system checks, I mean, the status checks mainly it does validate whether all the hardware are allocated properly. So once all the hardware are allocated, and also it does check for the operating system which have selected as a AMI that is configured correctly. So it is taking some time to create the machine based on my resources. See, during this time, it is still saying initializing, right? What exactly it is doing here? So there are some data centers within Mumbai. It is trying to fetch the configuration like 2 GB of RAM from this data center or 30 GB of hard disk from the data center, which is AP South 1B. And once that is done, you please click on this link and click on connect. Right? Here you can see RDP client. And most of our Windows should have remote desktop connection. So it either we can go ahead and launch our application with the help of the IP address or public DNS which is given. We'll talk about what is DNS and all little later. See, if you go to instances, you can see the public IP. As it is hosted in a public cloud, we'll see what is public cloud and all. Yeah, see, there is a public IP assigned and private IP is also assigned. We will discuss what is public IP, what is private IP, and public IP will get changed once you restart or once you stop and start your instance. And private IP is a unique IP which will be dedicated for your machine. We'll discuss them, in detail. Yeah. Now we can see 2 by 2 status set up path. Now we are good to start our Windows machine. So just click on this button and click on the connect. Now click on the RDP. Now I need to select the DNS, or I can go ahead and give the public IP of this machine. So once I give this public DNS of this machine, then I should give a password, right? And this is the username which AWS is already provided. I should use the username as administrator. I just copy it and I can fix it. Now it is time to generate the password. See, this is what the authentication comes here. So we have generated a file called PEM file, right? And we have stored it in our local computer. Now we are supposed to, in order to get connected with my machine, I should produce the password. So in order to get this password, I need to make use of my .temp file. Where did we store them? So I think it's AWS key, Windows key, PEM. So after we upload this key, we are supposed to decrypt the password. Now I'll be able to get the password. We can just copy the password. How did we get this password? We just uploaded the .temp file which was generated while creating the instance by us, and afterwards, in order to get the password, we'll have to upload that .temp file so that this particular password was generated. Now I've just pasted my password. I clicked on OK. Now what exactly is doing? It has created a virtual machine for me based on my requirement. Correct? So this is what the configuration which I asked for. So I've asked for 1 vCPU, 2 GB RAM, and 30 GB of hard disk. And the reason we are launching here because we have selected RDP protocol in the secondary group. Yes, see, this is what you can see a machine. This is the beauty of cloud computing, right? So we have not invested much money, but still, I just opened up a browser, I hit some URL, and I selected some options. With the help of the options, I'll be able to create my machine as per my needs. So this is the beauty of cloud computing. If you can see the specifications, see here the installed RAM is 1 GB and it's a 64-bit OS. And what is the edition? Windows Server 2022, right? So this specification. So it is nothing but your computer. See, however, I'm seeing here, let's say if I have to open my computer, let's say this is my specifications. So similarly, the similar configuration we'll be able to see in the virtual machine as well. And if I don't want to use it, I'll just click OK. And if I want to come out of this, either you can just minimize this and you can use it later. And let's say your thing got done. So just if you want to close it, just click on the close button and you'll be able to close. But the instance still it is running, right? So because we just close the window, but instance still it is running. So if or if at all if it is running more than 750 hours per month, definitely will be incurred with some amount. So let's say I'm done with my work now, I have to delete it. There are some options, right? So please select the instance and click on the instance type. Either you can stop the instance, for example, you have created this instance and later probably tomorrow or day after you're supposed to use this instance. If that is the case, you can stop the instances temporarily, and once you stop it, public IP gets changed. We'll discuss that, why public IP gets changed, but private IP will remain same. And if you want to reboot your instance, you can do that. And if you click on terminate instance, you can it is saying that completely you are deleting the instance, so that whatever the hardware which was allocated by AWS, which will be released, so that that particular hardware can be allocated to some other user based on their requirement. And once you stop it, you can see this option as well, and also you can put your machine in a hibernate mode as well. So for now, I'm just clicking on the terminate. So because I don't want to use this machine anymore, right? And also you can see there is one EBS backend instance, which means what is EBS? There is 30 GB of RAM, right? There is 30 GB of 30 GB of hard disk which got created as part of our Windows machine, right? So on see you can see that. See, just we'll see that, guys. We'll have a detailed discussions on the EBS and all. We'll discuss that. But for now, I was trying to terminate, and it was showing me an warning saying that if you delete this instance, you are also deleting the volumes which you have created. We'll see what is your option there. Everything. See, now I could see one volume. Now, upon deletion of my instance, this gets also deleted. So let me select this, go to instance type, and click on terminate instance. What it is saying, there is some EBS volume which got allocated on creation of your instance. So I'm also terminating that one. So once you terminate this one, that volume also gets terminated. We'll see a little later. Probably it will take some time. Yeah, we'll come back, but it takes some time. But this volume also will be detached and it will be deleted from the instance. This is about EC2 instance of Windows 1. What we did, we'll just try and quickly recap. We just selected the region, selected the EC2 service. We just typed here what service we need. So here we typed EC2 and we clicked on here and we were able to see that that window. And we clicked on the launch instance here and later we entered the name for the we just entered the name, and afterwards we selected which EMI, as we are entitled to work with Windows. We have just selected Windows as a EMI for EMI, and we selected the instance type as T2.micro. Basically, T2.micro refers number of vCPUs and here RAM capacity. And afterwards, in order to authenticate, in order to log into my machine, I'm supposed to log in with some keys. So that will be generated with the help of key pair sections. And in the networking, so here we create a security group. We'll discuss in detail in the upcoming sessions. So here we can restrict the user, or we can allow some ports and everything. We'll discuss them. And afterwards, we have selected some hard disk space specific to our machine, right? So yeah, that's how the Windows. And later you can always stop and start it. Okay. Any questions here? If you don't have any questions, I'll create another instance with Linux flavor 1, and we'll take your questions. Okay. Now let's see whether this. Okay.
Hi, sir. So I have a question. So I don't quite remember how we handle the part wherein we use the access key. So are you going to share the recording? I can have a quick look at that again.
Definitely. So I'll be sharing this session as soon as we complete this. Anyway, we are creating another machine now. So I'll also create a new key there. Is that helpful to you?
Yes. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So it is terminated, and let me look at the volume. It should also get erased. Yeah, see, you don't see any volumes, because previously we were seeing one volume which is attached to this instance. Now, since instance is terminated, so the corresponding volume also got deleted, which means whatever the hardware which we requested from Amazon, that is got deallocated. So that is freezed out. So that can be used by some other user. Now, let me create another EC2 instance, which is a Windows. So the typical steps, I need to log into this machine, and I need to click on EC2, and I should click on the launch instance. So one of our friend asked to create a key pair, we'll create it freshly. Now, let me give the name called Linux 7. Okay, and it is my responsibility to select the operating system by clicking on the EMI. So as of now, as I clearly mentioned, please select free-tier eligible EMIs only. So for now, I'm selecting Amazon Linux. You can select Ubuntu, Red Hat, right? So we can select any of your choice. Now, again, I'm supposed to select the instance type. So as we are going with free-tier, I'm not checking anything. So we are just going with T2.micro. What is the specification of T2.micro? So it is providing one virtual CPU and one GPU RAM. If I select T2.nano, one CPU, 0.5 GB of memory. Right? So if you need higher configuration, definitely you can go with higher configuration, as I explained earlier. For now, I'm just creating a base machine, so I'm going now. Okay, let's try to create another. Right? For Windows, we just created a key called. You should be able to see Windows key now, because I'm in the Mumbai region, but still I'll be able to see keys for Mumbai region. If I select another region, so definitely will not be able to see. It's a practice for you. Once by tomorrow, please set up a key and try these R&D kind of thing. Okay. Now let me create a key. So why do we need a key? So because somehow we are supposed to authenticate a machine with the help of this key. For example, I'm giving key and please select RSA. We'll see why RSA, why not other options. And I've selected the .pen key. Okay. We'll see what the difference between these two and why, though we have an option of PPK, why are we creating a .pen? It is preferable, right? We will see that little later. And I'm also creating a key. Okay, key got generated. And let me quickly copy that key and put it in our AWS key. Okay, so I have a key ready. Now, once we select the key, and as I mentioned, I'm creating a security group, so don't worry about all those things. See, previously it was showing allow RDP traffic from. Now it is saying SSH. So for Linux machine, SSH ports needs to be opened. So we can customize our port details and everything by selecting custom or my IP and all. We will see them little later. But for now, I want to access this machine. So I'm enabling SSH port on this security group as a firewall one. Yeah. And yeah, see, here also we can use up to 30 GB of hard disk space. But for Windows, for the Linux one, in order to install Amazon Linux or any other Ubuntu or Red Hat with the base version, we are good to go ahead with 8 GB of hard disk space only. If you really need it, definitely you can increase up to 30 GB of space, which is freely available for you. But 8 GB will suffice our requirement. So simply why to waste resource. So I'm just going and selecting only 8 GB of hard disk and then clicking on launch instance. That's it. So see, within simple steps, I'll be able to create an instance and I can make use of them. And no later sessions we'll see how to install additional software, how to make this as a web server. We'll install Apache Tomcat and we'll develop some HTML pages and we'll see how it works. Okay. Now for Windows, we will be able to launch our application with the help of PEM file. But for Linux flavored machines, it doesn't work with a PEM file, especially if I'm using Putty, right? So, okay, what is Putty? Putty is a tool which will, I mean, there are, other than Putty, we have, multiple tools to SSH my Linux flavored machine. So Putty is one of it, and we are comfortable with Putty. Most of your organization, most of you are already familiar with usage of Putty, but still we'll see that. Okay, as I mentioned, so I should wait for this status check should get passed. So until that, it is not recommendable to use this instance. So there are two options. One is I can click on I should click on the instance and I should click on the connect options. Here I will get the DNS details. So still it is getting ready. Either I can select this particular public DNS or we can also try to connect to the IP address. If for the Windows, we have already seen this option. So now let me go ahead and select a public IP of this and we'll see how to see public IP and private IP, right? So we'll just try to select the public IP. We just copy it here. Guys, what I'm trying to do here is for the Windows machine, we tried connecting to this machine with the help of public DNS. Now we are trying to connect this instance with the help of the IP address which is allocated. Now status check is passed. Now let me copy the public IP. Now let me give this IP address. You can also give the host name as well. Now I'm supposed to enter some key that is in under SSH and which is under R. Here I'm supposed to pass a key, but this putty will not allow any file which has the extension of .pem. It does only allow.ppk. What is ppk? Putty private key. So how to convert .temp key to private key? See, it is not mandatory to use putty only. As I'm using putty, I'm interested in putty. Now I'm trying to convert .temp file to ppk file. How to convert that temp file to ppk? We have something called as puttygen, right? Okay. So once you open this puttygen, click on the generate. Sorry. No, I should have selected load. Okay, select the puttygen option and click on the load. And here you can see AWS key. Select all file. This is what, right? So there is something called as Linux key.spend, which we generated during our instance creation. So click on open, click on OK. Now click on save private key. AWS key. Whatever. And the extension should be .ppk. Okay. Now the private key got generated and also got saved in my computer. So this is Putty private key. Now Putty is a tool. This tool will help us to create, to launch our application with the help of this key. Now, what I need to do here, I should get the public IP of this one, and I should click on SSH, and on selection of R, I will be able to provide my putty keys. So this is a PPK file. Now click on open. Click that's your certificate, and there are some default usernames for some applications. For example, default usernames for EC2. For some of the flavors, it is easy to use. For some of the users, it can be admin, right? So we'll discuss that in little later. So for now, what we have seen, so the default username for Amazon Linux is EC2 user. So let me give that username as EC2 user. Then I'm able to access this machine. Right? So this is how we launch a Linux machine. And once my works are done, I'll just close it. We'll be, making use of these, instances, and going forward, we'll be installing a couple of software, and we'll discuss them. And once that is done, my work is done. Let me click on this instance and go to instance type. Terminal. Okay. So let me quickly walk through the steps. So we just selected the EC2 instance and we entered the name, selected the operating system, which is Amazon AMI, and we set the instance type, we created the key pair, and yeah, we generated the pen file, and we enabled SSH port in the networking section, and we configured the storage as well, and we clicked on the launch instance. And similarly, you can terminate these settings. Okay, I think it is too much for today. Is that okay? Okay, we have another 10 more minutes. Let's quickly get into some questions if you have it, and we'll wind up this. Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah.
Actually, what is that like? If I am doing some work and if I am developing like in another mission, I have created the mission. If I want to develop tomorrow, means can I stop the status of the mission or can I turn it like stopping only, no instance running?
Yeah. So if you are working in a company, please do not stop without asking your administrator. right? But for your personal case, if you want to use, let's say you want to use this machine tomorrow or day after, I still prefer to terminate this instance. If provided, if you're not installed, if you're not done much work on this instance,
Okay.
okay? But it is always, I mean, my suggestion is please go ahead and terminate, and it will be good practice if you redo it again. But yes, you can always stop it.
Means if I stop, I can get means I can pay for extra something in free version.
No, stop also you can save money. No, I mean that will also comes under free trial version.
Yeah, once it is terminated, I can't able to again use that mission.
Correct. You cannot get back your machine for sure, because all the
Okay.
hardware and everything will get released from Amazon, right? So if you really want to use it for future, it is always good to stop and keep it for some time. And if you don't want your work is done, if you don't want that machine for a lifetime, you can go ahead and terminate that.
And other thing, and instance in the sense like mission only, right? Instance in the sense
Okay,
like we can
instance is
call it
nothing
a.
but a correct. Instance is nothing but a server, machine, virtual machine. These are all the aliases. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi,
Any other question?
yeah, have one question. Can we upgrade the existing EC2 hardware if you want to add additional resources?
Definitely. Definitely. Okay, sure. See, as of now, we have one device, for example, a C drive, and later, if you want to have another device, we have EBS and EFS. We'll be discussing that, later in the sessions. We can always improve our, configurations with respect to computing resources. So that's the reason we call them as EC2, which means we are computing. We are, always we'll be scaling down or scaling up our specification. It is possible. We'll do that as well in the upcoming session.
Okay, yeah, thank you.